today is to talk a bit about my journey to plastic free and how yours might look. Whether you're just beginning, whether you're along the journey, whether you're really working towards zero waste. We're all at different levels, and it's really, I think, important to understand that we are all at different levels. And the very, very first part of that starts with awareness. And it's funny when oh my gosh, since being in Sydney, sorry, there's like a little fruit fly, or like I don't know if he's a fruit fly. He likes the soil in my plants, and we just never had that in Adelaide growing up. Anyway, sorry. As I was saying, the really first part is about awareness, and it's quite strange for me because when I try and dig back and remember when my awareness began, I'm really not all that sure. And fortunately, there's been some markers in time to help me. I've been using my own shopping bag for as long as I could remember, and it was only when I researched when the ban came in South Australia that I realised, well, that was in 2009, but I think I'd been doing it before that, maybe not 100% of the time. I remember when I was living in the UK, I got given a reusable bag from Sainsbury's, and it was bright orange, and it had a press stud, so it folded up all nice and neat, and I loved that. And so from then on, I started using that, and I'm sure I would have brought that back to Australia and kept using it unless I gifted it to someone, which is something that I probably would have done. And hopefully he got some love. I certainly don't know where it is now. It's strange. There's been a lot of things, little bits sort of sprinkled throughout my history. And in 2009, when I started working at SA Tourism, I definitely, recall pestering my colleagues to use a keep cup and not use disposable cups. And I remember joining the green team. We don't really do a lot, unfortunately, that I can recall, but I do recall, oh my God, if I was on that green team now, hey, that's another story. That's another timeline. But I remember also we'd had 3 separate garbage bins in the office, and going through those bins and taking lids off coffee cups to put them in the recycling and the actual coffee cup in the landfill bin. And I remember when all that individual bins from our workstations were taken away in an effort to make us more aware of our garbage, and there was just the one spot in the kitchen to take that. So there's definitely been a lot, and from there I moved to Sydney for the first time and always made a big effort, and that's when I first learned about Plastic Free July, which is what really opened me up even more. And my colleagues saying to me, because there was really only 2 of us in the office all of the time, saying to me, wow, you're just, I love seeing the example that you set and what you do. And all of these things were happening before I even started PFC. So yeah, that awareness piece is super important. And that's definitely the start. Sometimes not the start of the journey, but it can be the start of the journey for other people around you. After Sydney, for those of you who already know my story, that's when I moved to Siem Reap in Cambodia, and that's when I felt really compelled. I need to do more than what I'm doing for myself. I have this knowledge, I can share this with other people. So then I started working on how to do all of that stuff and more. I was by that point, I was really starting to do my closest to zero waste. And I think I was kind of nailing it during the 5 years in Cambodia. really was able to, like put my food scraps back into the land, minimal plastic because of all the beautiful markets, and it really was quite fantastic. And then coming back to Sydney, learning all over again, finding myself living in a suburb that really, as someone who doesn't have a car, is not that accessible to the package-free stores or the fresh markets. And the fresh markets are not every day like they were in Cambodia. They are twice a month. And so, being able to go to a farmer's market is more of a special occasion rather than an everyday way to shop. So this has been really interesting. One of the benefits of living somewhere like this is being able to get fresh produce delivered to my door, which is, again, as someone without a car, amazing. Excuse me. I treated myself to some tea from the local sort of health food store. So there is like a eco-friendly health food store. I've found it beyond like my budget for most things, and I've been doing this big search into an eco-friendly dish sponge. It's just harder than you'd think for the style that I want. Like there's lots of options available, but yeah, trying to find one that's affordable. When you talk about postage, that can like double or add $10 onto the price, and it's going to last long and is the kind of style that I want. It's I've got a spreadsheet essentially. Anyway, I went in there to get some tea, and what was the point of my story? Oh no, everything is packaged. I spent so long staring. They've got a massive, like a whole wall of tea, and hardly any loose. This one is loose, but it was in a package. Hey Christy, thanks for joining. I'm just talking about tea. So yeah, like a lot more, even at the eco-friendly stores, I find there's still a lot of packaging, and looking at the different teas and seeing if they're individually wrapped, because individually wrapped tea bags drives me bonkers. So this one, and then I've realized like the packet isn't, I can't even recycle the packet on this one, even though the tea is loose. So I'm like, okay, where's the trade-off here? I bought another packet as well, which is tagless and stapleless, and all of it's just the bag, which is great, like no extra packaging, but then it was shrink wrapped in cellophane. So it's like, okay, great, this is fun. Anyway, I digress. So